Kami mohon perhatian kepada seluruh pimpinan dari Badan Pengelola Masjid Istiqlal untuk berkumpul di sisi sebelah timur karena acara kita akan segera kita mulai. And thank you for your coming all. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Grand Imam Istiqlal Mosque, Profesor Dr. K. Haji Nasaruddin Umar MA, and Ambassador of Friendly Countries and Happy Jazz, and all my brothers, thank you. And the first time, let us thank to God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty God, because He has given us the merciful and blessing until we can be together in this place, in the event Ambassador Gathering, Strengthening Global Peace and Partnership Ambassador Gathering now. And for the first agenda is opening. Let we say Al-Basmalah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And the second agenda is singing Indonesia Raya. An audience maybe to stand up. Tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku, di sanalah aku berdiri. Tadi pandu ibuku, seangku tanah airku. Thank you, and please sit down. Okay, all my brothers, for the next hour agenda, I give the time to Ms. Rosita Tandos.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Greeting for all honorable excellency Mr. Ambassadors to join our event for today. Welcome to Great Mosque of Istiqlal. Thank you so much. And then also to the other representatives of the embassies who joined with us, because some of the ambassadors cannot really make the invitations for some previous appointment. So thank you again for joining with us. Today, in this beautiful morning, in 23rd of November 2022, we, Great Mosque of Istiqlal, the management of Great Mosque of Istiqlal, welcome all of the embassies to join us to celebrate our partnership with the Great Mosque of Istiqlal. Along of the years, we arranged so many programs with the embassies in Jakarta, not just to welcome the VVIP visitors from the embassy, but also to our real program that existing in the Mosque of Istiqlal. Join with us for today some Honorable Excellency, Mr. Ambassadors, first Vincent Pickett. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Honorable Excellency Vincent Pickett, Mr. Vincent Pickett, Embassy of European Union. You may stand up. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Then the next one's Honorable Excellency, Mr. Ashraf Sultan from Embassy of Egypt. Thank you so much for coming. And the next one, Dr. Ammar Hamed Saadallah Al-Khalidi from Embassy of Iraq. Thank you for coming. And the next one, the Honorable Excellency, Mr. Abdullah Abdul Rahman from Embassy of Jordan. Thank you for coming, sir. Thank you so much. And then Honorable Excellency, Mr. Owadia Ben Abdullah, Embassy of Morocco. Thank you for coming. And then again, the next Honorable Excellency, Mr. Muhammad Hassan from Embassy of Pakistan. Thank you for coming. And the next one, in Honorable Excellency, Mr. Kevin Burnett from Embassy of New Zealand. Thank you for coming, sir. And then Mr. Dan Adrian Balanescu from Embassy of Romania. Thank you, sir, for coming. Then the Honorable Excellency, Mr. Jaroslav Selbo from Embassy of Slovakia. Say here, Slovakia. And the next one, last but not least, Honorable Excellency, Dr. Vasily Hamianian, our brother from Embassy of Ukraine. Thank you so much for coming. And then the representative from the embassy here, we have Mrs. Laura Angel from Embassy of Germany. There. Thank you for coming, ma'am. And then Mrs. Sophie van Hout, Second Secretary Political Affairs, Embassy of Netherlands. This here, thank you. And then the next one, Mr. Nick Faulkner, Second Secretary Political Embassy of United States. Thank you for coming, sir. We are so very happy and honored to have you all here in this beautiful morning. And then here with us, two Grand Imams. The first, of course, our beloved Grand Imam, Professor Dr. Kiai Haji Nasaruddin Umar, that always have a big heart to open this mosque to welcome everyone here, interfaith. So many countries come here, actually. Almost every week we have every day to welcome VVIP visitors for all embassies in Jakarta. And then the second one, we are honored to have Professor Muhammad Basar Arafat. He is a Grand Imam from DC, USA. Thank you for coming. Please big applause to him. And then he'll also become our representative from US to join our event today. Without any far more, we welcome our Grand Imam to welcome all the VVIP visitors for today. Thank you so much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Alhamdulillah wa syukrillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Sayyidina wa habibina wa syafi'ina wa maulana Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amma ba'd. Honorable Your Excellency, Mr. and Mrs. Ambassadors, Alhamdulillah, for me, for myself, you are not only as ambassadors, but I saw you also as the people of God, the people of the book. So we are same here. There is no difference and there is no distance. So this morning I would like to invite you to open speech together with us for humanity in this special building, special mosque in Indonesia. So allow me to invite you to give us the best information. What can we do in the future to resolve our global problem in religious languages. I believe you have a lot of kind of languages, but I believe also you understand also to speak in religious languages. So we are here in Masjid Istiqlal. We have several options. One of the options we can try to speak regarding our problem in our space, the world space today, is how to use the religious languages to resolve our global problem, especially in the future problem. So, very credit. For me, religion is very, very important. But in the same time, religion is like the nuclear. The power of nuclear can enlighten at least the lamp, right? But another power of nuclear can be destroyed. Our situation, we remember what happened in Japan. The power of nuclear, there are two kinds, force, the negative power and positive power. So religion, very similar with the nuclear. So our problem today, how to choose the positive power of religions, and in the same time, how to eliminate the negative power of religious understanding, especially for a small group from the followers, several religions. For me, very important to discussing today because I believe you have lots of experience in your country. I would like to learn from your experience in your country. I try to learn how to manage this worship house in Indonesia. This is place almost every day we use for interfaith meeting. Yesterday, together with our colleague here, we invite also together with Imam Bashar for 6, the leader of religion in Indonesia. Almost every day we use this place to discuss our problem, include our problem, what happened yesterday in East Java, especially in Cianjur. We pray together and we collect money to help them. In the name of religion, we ask from the many religious activists coming to here to collect the money to help them. Alhamdulillah, we have several experience also. In the name of Istiqlal administration, we collect the budget to help our people in last year when the top problem of 19 COVID yesterday. Very, very surprised because include the government also very surprised. How Istiqlal collect the money according to them, very surprising because more than what they imagination, the power of Istiqlal or the power of religious language can touch the emotion of our people. And several rich men come to Istiqlal and give to us as organizer the money, and lot of money. I also very surprised. I imagine only not so big. I don't know what happened yesterday. Maybe because we speak from our heart. My deep heart speak together. For me, humanity is only one. There is no colors. So we can work together to resolve our problem, especially in Indonesia. Today, we have, I think also, like your country also, because the problem, not only for Indonesia, but we have a global problem today. So let me invite you to give us a solution. What will be doing in the future? For me also, impossible to separate from the religious people with their religions. Religion and that follower, very difficult to separate. What's happened if mismanaged between religion and the follower of the religion? So this is one point very important also to explain to you. The hardliner, like terrorists also, yeah. Maybe because we have mismanaged the relation between religion and that the followers. I believe if we touch religion and that follower with the same language, I think the hardliner could be changed. We have several experience also in Indonesia. We touch them. We have here another attach, not the formal logic approach. We try to attach them with another approach. We have also very surprised last week. We invite several hardliners also coming here together, sitting together with the moderate Muslim people and discussing together. And what happened after that? Like ice-breaking process. And yesterday, last Friday, according to the schedule from the hardliner, they have scheduled to demonstrate, but because we have a special attach for them, they cancel that demonstration, and they choose discussing together in the very limited space here and here. And of course, the government also say thank you very much for Grand Imam. You cancel demonstration while we have a lot of guys from the abroad, because the era of the time is the same time, is the same time from the Bali meeting last week. So this is one example. If we approach them with the hard languages, everybody can change their character. So for me, we imagine in the future, Indonesia as the largest Muslim people, we can share together with you what is the experience of Indonesia regarding to to manage of our religion here, different region. For me also here, Istiqlal, like Istiqlal, Istiqlal in Indonesia, not only for Muslim people. For me, Istiqlal, the big house of humankind, whatever your religions. So we have several meeting room here, not only for Muslim people. Our brother from another religion also can access our meeting room here also. Yeah. Last month also we have a Christian organization use our meeting room here. And they're thinking together with them in this mosque. I think very difficult to find in another country. Another example also, we have a Quranic reading competition, Musabaqah Tilawatul Quran. The organizer for Musabaqah Tilawatul Quran, Quranic competition, the organization not only from the Muslim people, but also we combine for another religion also. You can imagine who think together regarding the Quran, the singer not only from the Muslim people, but also combined with another religion. Different religion can think in regarding the Quran. So this is Indonesia. I would like to invite you also to visit the Tolerance Tunnel, according to Mr. Jokowi, Silaturahmi Tunnel. Nowadays, the tunnel, the function of the tunnel, not only the way to access the cathedral in our neighbor, but we use also as a meeting point. You know, we have special emotion when I meeting together in the Tolerance Tunnel. Yeah. We are in underground. In behind us, there are cathedral, and behind us, Istiqlal. In between Istiqlal and worship of religion, also we have also Christian church also around here. We sitting together, discussing regarding the humanity, especially the Indonesian problem. So we are very close together. I would like in future, together, I will invite my colleague also from United States. Allow me to explain, Mr. Imam Besar, you know, Grand Imam Indonesia, Imam Besar. But in Washington, we call him Imam Bashar. Imam Bashar and Imam Besar. So, two Imam Besar here. One Imam Besar, one Imam Bashar. Thank you very much for you coming here, our brother from United States. I think Imam Bashar also very famous in the United States as the representative of moderate Muslim people in the United States. And U.S. government also, of course, say thanks for Imam Bashar because he has a lot of program to collaborating between Muslim and another non-Muslim in the United States. So his experience also in the United States. So we invite him to coming here. I asked him to go around in Indonesia. Last week also, I invite him to go to the East Indonesia and also around Jakarta. Almost 2 weeks here, but he is very, very busy. Almost every day there is no time for fresh. So thank you very much for you're busy in my country. But Alhamdulillah, because of him, yesterday also we invite for several religious activists here and making collaborate. And inshallah, we would like to inform you, inshallah, in the future, maybe Imam Basar can explain what I call the diplomacy was religious diplomacy. Religious diplomacy is very important for me. I know your country, there is no, it's different my country, but religious diplomacy in function, not necessarily by formal existence, but for me, religious diplomacy very important in the future. Religious diplomacy, one thing very, very good for discussion in the future. We have several problems. We have several experience in Indonesia. The religious diplomacy also, we use as a tool to resolve our problem interfaith in Indonesia. So we need not only Indonesia like this, but we need also another country for all the country also. For me, if religious activists can sit in together and can understanding each other, I think a whole problem in the world can be okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Grand Imam of Great Mosque of Istiqlal. I would like to share also to add the points from Grand Imam that last year we did the same on December 21st. All embassies in Jakarta, around almost 40 embassies joined. But now this year, we welcome all the ambassadors. So thank you to come. So this may be quite different for this year. And also we hope next year, with the new visions of Istiqlal, we will develop more all the issue into the global. Yesterday, we just conduct a global interfaith dialogue, and then like Grand Imam said, attended by Grand Imam from all religions, official religions in Indonesia, and then also joined with us also Professor Imam Basar Arafat from USA. Maybe now time for Imam Basar Arafat to add some points from the Grand Imam Professor Dr. Kiai Haji Nasaruddin Umar. Time is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and good morning from this beautiful place of Almighty at Istiqlal. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, may the peace and blessings of Almighty be upon His beloved prophets, Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, Abraham, and all the prophets. I give thanks to Almighty for the blessings of life, for the blessings that we cannot count. And one of the blessings is to see these shiny faces today here this morning. So thank you very much all for coming. And thank you very much, Imam Professor Dr. Nasaruddin Umar, for the kind invitation and honoring me to address the honorable ambassadors and representatives of the countries that they are here at this ambassadors gathering. My name is Muhammad Bashar Arafat, came 32 years ago from Damascus, Syria, to be Imam in the Baltimore, Washington area. And what a quiet journey that now I would like just to summarize that with 5 points with all of you here today and why I'm here. Being Imam in America is really quite an experience that like no any other countries. And being Imam in the Washington area is also completely different experience of being Imam in Chicago or California or anywhere. Because if you are Imam in the Baltimore, Washington area, of course, this is what I found out later on. You are close from 176 embassies, and you have to be also available for these embassies. Number one of these 5 points that I would like to share with you in these few minutes I have learned at the Islamic University in Damascus that Islam is not only for the Muslims. Islam is actually the religion of Jesus. Islam is the religion of Moses, of Abraham, and all the prophets, in terms of submitting your will to Almighty, the loving Lord, the merciful Lord. So that's why Islam starts with the word Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to Allah, Lord of the world, not Lord of the Muslims only, not Lord of the Arabs or the Africans, but the whole world. So, as a religion of humanity and mankind, of course, you have the choice to worship the way you would like to worship, but then you have to answer to Almighty who brought you to this life only for 70, 80, 90, maybe 100 years, you and your luck, and then you have to move on. So the concept of humanity is very well enshrined in the Quran, in the word, Ya ayyuhan nas, all mankind. That is repeated, by the way, the word an-nas, humanity, 240 times. And the last chapter, the Quran ended with, which is Almighty ended his book, with a chapter and with a surah, he called it the humanity, an-nas, where he repeated the word humanity 5 times, in order to tell whoever is reading the Quran that you are part of the human family, the family of Adam and Eve. Whether you are Muslim or Christian or Hindu, or whether you believe, or even if you don't believe, still you have to go by the moralities and the ethics and the values that is good for living on the surface of this earth. That's why we go by today the charters of the United Nations. So, number one, humanity, that we are part of the human race. Number two is really for those who are going to speak the word of God. Call them imam, call them priest, call them rabbis, call them whatever you would like to call them. As imam in America, later on teaching in different universities. Right now, currently I'm teaching at Notre Dame University, Islamic Studies. But being a chaplain also, with the police in Baltimore, and you need to visit Baltimore to know what I'm talking about. And being a chaplain also at Johns Hopkins University, and then the hospital, I found that my curriculum, which I studied at the university, did not, and I would like to underline this word, with 10 lines in red, did not prepare me to be imam in America adequately. So I had to learn so many things myself. And that is culture. What does it mean to be imam in America? Dealing with, if I'm going to give Friday sermon, I have in front of me minimum 50 cultures from all over the world. So how to deal with all of these immigrants? And each one is coming thinking that his culture or his way of life is the best. We study comparative religions, but we don't study comparative cultures. And this is something that I came to realize that this is very important to add to the curriculums of imams, if they would like to be imams in America, or if you'd like to be imam in Europe. So, started Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation to take the American students with me to different countries in the Middle East or Africa or Asia to learn about religion and culture. That introduced me later on, after 9/11, to the State Department. And the State Department asked if we can do programs for them. And then, if you can be a speaker, okay, I'll be delighted to go and speak. So I became part of the International Speaker Bureau, where I came and I did programs since 2005 until now with 47 embassies. One of them is the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, where I would like to thank the U.S. Embassy for inviting me in 2005, 2006, 11, 12, so many times. And this program today here in Istiqlal, for me to be here, is really part of the speaker programs that I had with the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia. But working with embassies around the world, I realized also that imams had nothing in their curriculums to introduce them to embassies and how to work with cultural missions of different embassies, whether it is U.S. embassies or Europeans or wherever. So inviting IVLP, International Visitors Leaders, to visit us in Baltimore, Washington, and then for me to start a program with the US embassies, I realized that really we have to start a school that is focused only on religious diplomacy. And that's why I'm here today, to share the curriculums that we have in America with the imams in Southeast Asia, and to talk about the importance of training imams also on religious diplomacy and how to reach out to people around the world, especially if you are an imam in America or imam in Europe. So that's the second point, training the imams on global issues, because the core teachings of Islam is Ya ayyuhan nas inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know one another. Life in America, alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, of the Constitution of the United States, which protect my religious freedom to start my own programs. And that's why I moved to the third point of sharing these curriculums with religious leaders of other faith traditions, the Christians, the Jews, the Hindus, and others. So now we are starting programs to bring clergy from the United States. By the way, the first program was in Morocco, and we did programs with Mr. Ahmed Tawfiq, the Minister of Religious Affairs, and with the King and others. But then I realized this training of religious leaders is very important, and that's why also I'm here to meet with the interfaith leaders yesterday. And that brings me to the fourth point, which is working with youth from all over the world in America, because America is #1 country in cultural exchange programs. So I found out that we have 76 countries, students from all over the world. So we started conferences for them in Florida, in Baltimore, Washington, and in San Diego, California. And a few days ago, we had a conference here in Indonesia to bring the youth and to train the imams and clergy how to work with the youth of the world. And that's why today, this issue is very important. And the last point, and that's something I would love to share with all of you about the importance of religious diplomacy, is how to start these initiatives of, like now, Southeast Asia initiatives, and to work with the ASEAN region based in Indonesia, because of my love to the culture, to the beauty of diversity here in Indonesia, especially where you will see the whole religious, not religious leaders, but world leaders who were here in Bali last week. That shows you something about Indonesia. But I always joke with my brother here, and I tell him, so where are your scholars who come to us every 3 months to speak? At Columbia University, at Georgetown University, at George Washington University, all over universities. So we need the scholars from Indonesia to visit us and to share the beauty of this wonderful culture. And that's why I would love to have these exchanges, because I found that these exchanges are so important for the Arabs to learn about Americans, for the Americans to learn about the Arabs, about the Africans, about the Asians. And that's why I'm delighted to start the first conference for imams, European and American imams, American and Asian imams, because we don't have those kind of conferences to compare notes. And that's why we are entering a new era today, and I'm delighted to be here in Indonesia for partnership to advance causes for happiness for the human family, and to counter extremism, to counter terrorism that has nothing to do with not only Islam, but also with Christianity, with Judaism, with all the religions that were revealed by Almighty. You will see that openness and love and compassion is always the core message of that religion. That's why I'm here, and I'm thankful to Almighty for meeting all of you, and I look forward to work with all of you through Istiqlal and through my dear brother and his PTI Institute in order to advance this kind of activities and programs that I'm sure it's not only important for America, it's not only important for Asia, but they are important for the whole world. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And thank you very much, Imam, for honoring me to speak with my dear sisters and brothers as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Imam Bashar. She keep mentioning shh because.
Thank you.
So he's correctly Bashar. Thank you so much. So we have two points that inshallah for the future, with all the blessing from God, we will bring all the programs in New Istiqlal into more and more global, inshallah. More involvement from the Grand Imam and also Imams, not just because our great Grand Imam also the presidents of Imam associations across Indonesia, that the members about 1,800 mosques across Indonesia. So I think for the future, inshallah, Imam Basar, we can follow up with this vision, inshallah. Now, next time is to hear from all Honorable Excellency Ambassador to share with us the points about the visions for the future, for the global, strengthening global peace and partnership with the great mosque of Istiqlal, Muslim world, and to the world. Thank you. Now we please the first, without, the first is from Honorable Excellency Vincent Pickett from Embassy of European Union. Time is yours. Where are you? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, and great pleasure to be with you this morning in this beautiful mosque and this beautiful historic building in central Jakarta, next door to a Roman Catholic cathedral with the Tolerance Tunnel, I like the phrase, connecting the two. And yeah, we are, as diplomats, observers of developments in Indonesia, and we try to understand what we see and report about that to our headquarters. We see positive developments in Indonesia, a country that is proud, and rightly so, of its tolerance and its respect for diversity, its drive for diversity even. And that's fascinating to watch. And from the side of the European Union countries, of course, there's a lot to learn from this, and there's plenty of scope for exchange. We also note, of course, risks on the horizon at times, risks that have to do with the frictions that the Grand Imam mentioned between mainstream and tolerance and hardliners, as you said. That worries us, naturally, that for the risk of terrorism that this entails, the risk of social conflict and in societies, the risk of individual suffering, people, old, young, who feel that their development as an individual cannot be altogether positive because of constraints that are imposed on them. I think that the thing that springs to mind is the discussion about the dress that girls need to wear in school, mandatorily or not. Big debate in Indonesia. And so that is something. We look forward to an election campaign happening in Indonesia. Has it started or not, I don't know, but it will definitely begin sometime next year. And there, of course, the very strong hope that everybody has is that politicians discuss and treat the question of religion in a sensible and tolerant manner, and do not use religion as a tool in campaigns and so on, because the politicizing of religion on the whole is not an experience that leads to a good result. So these are things that are, certainly on my mind, and when following discussions inside Indonesia, and against the context, as I said, of a situation in Indonesia that is, by and large, extremely positive, with, of course, a large majority religion on the one hand, and with its special place, but at the same time the tolerance and the coexistence of other religions, like in Bali, for instance, where many of us were last week, or in other provinces of Indonesia on the other side. So we hope to learn more about that, how that is done. Europe has its frictions and tensions as well. We have not succeeded, I think, in assimilating, mainstreaming what is called minority religions, including Islam, into our societies, in our cities, whether it's in Belgium or the Netherlands or in France or other places. There are parts of the town that are predominantly immigrant, first generation, second generation, regular, irregular, that are predominantly of Muslim religion, persons of the Muslim religion, and that is not good. It leads to ghettoization of groups and individuals that is not good for the harmonious development of society in wherever, in Europe and in other parts. So that is something, a very specific point that we, as Europeans, I think, need to learn about and do more work on. And evidently, this is not made easier by the economic problems, and the inflation, and so on. But that's another story. I stop here. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Excellency. Honorable Excellency from Embassy of European Union highlights also the importance of tolerance to addressing issue of extremism, radicalism, and also big issue in European now is about immigrants, how to integrate the Muslims to come to the countries to be the better with the communities, I think. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Now we go to the second, to Honorable Excellency, Mr. Ashraf Sultan, Embassy of Egypt. Please, time is yours. Okay.
Thank you very much for inviting us today for this event. It's an important issue that has been on the table for a very long time and subject to many discussions. For me, coming from Egypt, we have certainly a long experience when we come to peace and tolerance. I would say promoting values is also a kind of practice. It is not kind of speech that we say between us as responsibles or officials or in academic venues, but it's a practice that should be well observed in our societies and between ourselves, even in the same society. If we don't give the example of being tolerant, and being open-minded, we will not succeed in doing this. For me, Egypt has suffered sometimes for non-tolerance and from some hard line, as you said, but it was a homework for us to address the issue, whether as a state or whether as individuals. As individuals, we should be ourselves a good example to our children, to our colleagues, to our co-workers, to whoever we are dealing with. And as a state, it's also a very deep homework, because the state has a big responsibility to address these issues. As I said, For example, when we had some problems in Egypt, what we did after that, we changed the system of laws that is, for example, addressing all the religious issues. To build a church in Egypt is the same procedure to build a mosque. To address this issue is to address it from a point of view that has nothing to do with religion, with a procedure that put all people in the same basket. We managed to bring the message that there is no more room for hardliner. The room is for people who speak softly and speak with understanding for the others. This is civilization that we had in Egypt for a very long time ago, but maybe for a few last decade, maybe it has been infected from the outside. For example, in Al-Azhar, which is playing a very big role in this issue in Egypt, we have a unit inside Al-Azhar that we created. This unit works as an observatory. It can detect any bad information or any wrong information or any intolerance that is going on within a society, within the media, within the people, within institutions, and then to address it correctly with a smooth and very tolerant way. So to observe what is wrong, to be able to address it in a correct way, in a tolerant way, this is very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador Ashraf Sultan, to share with us the best practice that's applied in Egypt and also especially to Al-Azhar. And actually, we have an agenda with Grand Imam actually before COVID to visit that union in Al-Azhar, but it's postponed because of the COVID-19. Hopefully, we can go next for our most research because Grand Imam is a full professor also at UIN Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Now, we please Dr. Ammar Hamid Saad Al-Khalidi, Ambassador of Embassy of Iraq. Time is yours.
Thank you so much for organizing this event, important event. By the way, I'm new here, just 3 months here. This is first time to participate this event, and I noticed this is very interesting subject here. It is important to raise that the religion of Muslim is not for Muslim, according to some provisions of Quran al-Karim, as the Sheikh said and described this issue. And these maybe help us to collect all ideas and thoughts in one point and to facilitate and strengthen the global peace and partnership. I hope also maybe we can raise in next time there's no linkage between Muslim and terrorism. And I also I encourage the initiative of Egypt in 2005 to host conference to conclude definition of international terrorism. But some differences now between or among the member states of the United Nations does not prevent to hold this meeting. I hope in next time to facilitate these procedures in order to make distinguish between Muslim and other things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador from Embassy of Iraq. Yes, thank you. We will do definitely to go to the next steps, our work together, inshallah. And next we welcome, we please Honorable Excellency Mr. Abdallah Abdul Rahman, Embassy of Jordan. Time is yours.
Imam Istiqlal, thank you so much for this event. We have also the good opportunity to meet His Excellency Professor Bashar Arafat and to learn and to hear about his experience in the United States. It's very important for us, and to meet our colleagues in the embassies. I'm very lucky. This is my second time to be here. Last year I was the only ambassador attend in this event, and I was very lucky to meet all of my colleagues in the embassies, and of course to meet His Excellency Al-Imam. I do believe now that really we have religious diplomacy. It's very important in this time, but we have also, excuse me, to separate between diplomacy as culture diplomacy, I mean, religious diplomacy as a part of culture diplomacy, not a part of political diplomacy. Because in the relation between politics and religious, as we know, especially in the last years, politics used the religious in all of the conflicts. So it became like as a tool. And we lose a lot, especially in our region, in Middle East. You remember last 10 years or 12 years, what happened in our region. Sorry for my English, I am trying to. I do believe that we not only have to exchange with US or cooperate with US, also we have to cooperate with Middle East. In Middle East, in our countries, we need to know more and to learn more about the Indonesian model of Islam. It's very important for us. I do believe that. After 4 years for me in Indonesia, I can tell how our brothers, the Indonesians, they are living in one harmony, peaceful, and they believe that everyone he has to respect others, to accept others, and to believe in dialogue. This is very important. How to exchange, how to cooperate between Istiqlal as a frame of reference and our mosques or universities in our region. As you mentioned, all of you now, we have many challenges. Now we have Islamophobia in everywhere in the world, and this is our problem. It's not only for the foreigners, not only for the rebels, also for our kids, for our new generation. They have this phobia from Islam. They don't know about Islam. They know about only ISIS, about conflicts, about wars, so we have to present the modern image, modern face of our Islam. We have many challenges we have to deal with it, and I do believe that also we have a lot of opportunities. Thank you so much again, and I will welcome again our friend and our guest from US, Professor Bashar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, also for your second visit to our yearly event. Thank you. Yes, now we move to Honorable Excellency Mr. Guadia bin Abdullah from Embassy of Jordan. Please. Oh, sorry. Morocco, beautiful country of Morocco. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to thank you, Professor Amar. Thank you, Professor Bashar. And thank you all the staff. Thank you all the staff of the Mosque Al-Istiqlal. And to yes, Embassy also, to permit this. And to permit us to be together, to share together. I'm from Kingdom of Morocco. And since I'm here, I always give example that Indonesia and Morocco, we are the two countries limits of Islamic world, East and West. And the two countries are one of the most open countries, one of the most diverse countries in the Islamic world. Yesterday, in Morocco, Antonio Guterres attended to United Nations Global Summit of Religions and Civilizations. And every month there is something concerning these issues. Professor Bashar, you know Morocco, you've been there many times, and you know how Morocco can share with all these countries, well, with all world, not Islamic world. Because between us, we know each other. Between us, no one can give lessons to others. We have to learn from others. And we have to share what is positive with all the world. You repeat this everywhere you go. We know that. Everyone has his own experiences. One of them in Morocco, it's this institute, you know very well, Institute of Imams, of Murshidin, we call it Institute Muhammad VI, of Murshidin and Murshidat. It became a famous institute in the world because it gives the spirit, all we need, the spirit of opening Islam. And just this year, we have around 320 Murshidin and Murshidat who are learning from all over the world, from Africa, from Europe, and from Asia also. We have, this year, we have some imams from Thailand, and next year, we will have also from Singapore. So, we will be happy to share also with Indonesia. We'll be happy to be more present in Indonesia. Many Indonesians come to Morocco to Durus Hassaniya. I think 4 years ago, Professor Amani Lubis gave a speech with His Majesty King Mohammed VI. And every year we receive imams and professors from Indonesia. Yeah. So we have a lot to share. Thank you to permit us to be together and to share together. And see you, inshallah, next year.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Also because Mr. Ambassador shared about Murshidin and Murshidat. Actually, here also in Mosque of Istiqlal, we have program called Ulama Cadre Education. That postgraduate program. We cooperate with Ministry of Finance. There's the most wanted scholarship in Indonesia called LPDP to create ulama that will bring moderate Islam and peace and harmony and so on, that they will graduate, inshallah. And every year we will have about 100 students recruit, and now we still have the first batch, and we will recruit more, inshallah. So we will, I think that's a very good point to share and to build partnership, inshallah. Thank you. Next we go to the Honorable Excellency, Mr. Muhammad Hassan from Embassy of Pakistan. Time is yours, Mr.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Imam of Istiqlal Mosque and Imam of Grand Mosque in Washington, D.C., for giving us this opportunity to have a conversation with you and with other colleagues on the role of religion in strengthening global peace and partnership. I think this is one of an important issue which we all are facing nowadays. Although I firmly believe that no religion in the world preaches hatred towards each other. All religion preaches peace and harmony among other members of the other religions as well. But this is also a fact that much of the bloodshed has been done in the name of the religions. There have been discords in many parts of the world in the name of the religion. But not to blame the religion, of course, it's the doing of the followers of those religions. So here I really would like to appreciate the two of the thoughts which was brought by Imam Bashar. Is that basically what we need to do is first to train the trainers, the imams and the religious leaders to how to promote harmony between different faiths and among the faiths. And second thing which I fully agree with Imam Bashar is that the curriculum for the imams, that need to have a chapter on interreligious harmony and interreligious faith. Because what we know that the international community as a whole has been doing a lot for interfaith harmony. There has been a number of international seminars, conferences in the United Nations, outside the United Nations. A number of declarations have been passed, including one in Bali Declaration, I remember by Asim, it was passed. And the United Nations has also declared the first week of, I think probably the first or the second week of February as the week of interfaith harmony. In fact, that was the proposal was made by His Highness the King of Jordan, basically on his proposal, it has been accepted. But the problem is still there. So we need to really work on that. Pakistan being like Indonesia, it's predominantly a Muslim country, but we also have other religions, and we had some problems as well. But there are many good things in Pakistan about interreligious harmony, which normally do not come into the press. For example, if I tell you that some of the best education institutions in Pakistan are those run by the Christian missionary schools and colleges. St. Mary's, St. Joseph College and University, Foreman Christian College and University. These are the big names in the field of education. We harbor some of the most important religious sites of other religions. For example, in Taxila is dating back to 700 BC. It's one of the sacred sites of the Buddhist religion. It's open for all the Buddhists, and pilgrims from all around the world come over there. Similarly, the Sikh sites, two of their most important sites are located in Pakistan, and it's open for everyone. We also have, Imam, I would like to tell you that, we look towards Indonesia as one of the model for interreligious harmony, and we do tell our imams to learn from the imams of Indonesia in this regard. Because like Indonesia, we also have different cultures. And this cultural aspect, again, it's an important thing. Most of the things which are being done in the name of the religion are basically not part of the religion, but part of different cultures, different isms and their, biases, and those are, mixed with religion and then brought it up as a religious piece. So I think we can continue working on that, and especially between Indonesia and Pakistan, we can learn from each other. I know that a number of Pakistani students come over here. A lot of Indonesian students also go to Pakistan. The International Islamic University, Islamabad, is a hotspot for station for Indonesian students for Islamic fiqh and others. And I think we can continue with that and learn from each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Now we finished with the Middle East. We come to the Europe countries. By please, Honorable Excellency, Mr. Kevin Burnett from Embassy of New Zealand. Time is yours.
Aku mihi kia koutou katoa. I pay my respects to everyone here in the language of our indigenous New Zealand Maori, Te Reo Maori, one of two predominant cultures in New Zealand, which is an important part of our society, bicultural, multicultural, and a society in New Zealand that believes in and practices human rights, in particular the freedom of expression and the freedom to express yourself in whichever religion that you believe in. I'm very grateful, as others have said, for the invitation to Istiqlal Mosque here, my second visit, a beautiful place, a great place to come to, and very calm and reassuring and tolerant, and I really appreciate the way that that is expressed. An honour to be in the presence of two Grand Imams, and most unexpected. I lived in Washington, D.C. for a number of years, went to Baltimore a few times, was there for 9/11 and the aftermath of that, so experienced some of the challenges that you've talked about. New Zealand is predominantly a Christian society, but with a growing Muslim population and a number of other religions, which I would say were mostly invisible for a long period of time. But as is so often the case, a terrorist attack in New Zealand, completely unexpected and absolutely shocking for New Zealand, occurred in 2019, an attack on mosques in Christchurch, which really made visible our Muslim society in New Zealand, and caused us to question Islam and its place in our society, caused us to question our own views and beliefs as the terrorist who perpetrated the attacks claimed some sort of representation of many of us. Clearly not so. So that's caused New Zealand to look internally at our society, the makeup of our society, religions and culture, as has been described here, and how they contribute to society, and how we can learn to understand each other and tolerate each other and work with each other for the betterment of our society. So it's been a very important checkpoint for New Zealand, and awful as it was, somewhere from which I believe that we've grown. But an important part of that is to continue to engage with different parts of the society and seek for and develop greater levels of inclusion, both in New Zealand and beyond. So the opportunity to be here in Indonesia, to see how Islam is practiced in Indonesia, to hear about the programs that are being promoted by the Istiqlal Mosque and Indonesia is very interesting and greatly valued from a New Zealand perspective as well. And to hear what the US approach is also very reassuring, in that we too believe that it's very much about understanding, it's very much about communicating with each other, it's very much about listening, and as others have said here, learning from others about the approach to living together in society, one humanity, one world together. So thank you for the opportunity to hear from you, to hear from other colleagues, which I greatly appreciate, and the opportunity to visit the mosque again, which I look forward to doing so again in the future. Terima kasih. Aku mihi kia koutou katoa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. That was very wonderful speech that share about how New Zealand, as the Christian majority countries, that with the Muslims growing population, now more and more to learn, communicating and work together. Thank you so much for addressing this very, very important point, Mr. Ambassador. Now we move to the Mr. Honorable Excellency Dan Adrian Belanescu from the Embassy of Romania. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like also to add my voice and to thank the Grand Imam for this opportunity to be here together and to speak about the greatness of religion and what religion should mean, in fact. But I would also like to express my condolences for the victims of the earthquake that happened in West Java, and hopefully the injured will have a speedy recovery and things will get back to normal, especially that we heard a lot of children died and a lot of schools collapsed after this earthquake. Of course, tolerance is a very important quality of the religion, and it was mentioned here, and I would also like to stress it. And I think Indonesia is an example of tolerance because when I arrived here and when I saw that many religious holidays are celebrated here in Indonesia, it was very nice to me, and it is very nice to see how Christmas, for example, is celebrated here. It's a national holiday. So for Christians, this is very important. But I also noticed, and I think it is very important what Grand Imam said about the somehow dual nature of religion, or the better said, the dual interpretation that religion can have, and about its similarity with the nuclear power. Because indeed, if you use religion without tolerance, you can do a lot of harm. And we see what is happening in many countries around the world, where, for example, women are not allowed to go to school. Sometimes they are not allowed even to go to the park. And we see other countries in which women can be beaten or can be even murdered because they have not dressed in a certain way, which is, of course, very sad, and this is not tolerance. One very important line for me was the line of Pope Francis, when he said, "Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge?" said the Pope. And sometimes it's still difficult not to judge when we see what is happening. When we see, for example, what is happening in Ukraine, where the religion is used to justify war. And it is used even by a whole church that promotes war instead of tolerance. So this is difficult not to judge. But in Romania, I think, and I want to believe, that we are a tolerant country. We also have many religions in Romania. We have no religious tensions in Romania. We have a very good cooperation between different churches. I have been discussing, and we have been discussing with Grand Imam to pay a visit to Romania, and hopefully in the framework of this interfaith dialogue, and hopefully it will happen next year. So I will stop here. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. So that's a very not important point, to use the language of religion to emphasis on tolerance and harmony. Now next we go to Honorable Excellency Mr. Jaroslav Selbo, the Ambassador of Slovakia. Is it here? Not yet? Okay. Next to Honorable Excellency Dr. Vasily Haminian from Embassy of Ukraine.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang terhormat Imam Besar Pak Nasruddin Umar, thank you very much for this invitation. And I think we met like a couple of times before, and it was very impressive and inspiring. Thank you very much. Well, I have to say, really, after listening to the dear colleagues and to everyone delivering speeches, I was like loaded for an hour of speech, but I will shrink it to a couple of minutes. First, let me start from this absolutely amazing comparison with nuclear energy. I really liked it, and Excellency Ambassador from Romania also mentioned it. However, you're absolutely right. I agree with that entirely. That can be destructive and can be creative, but it cannot be isolated. Nuclear energy is something that can be very constructive and productive when it's connected to somewhere, when it can produce electricity, or I don't know what, like treat diseases or whatever it is, like in hospitals or somewhere else. So my first point is the communication and networking. Like you might know, Indonesian Islam, or system of Indonesian Islam, as I you know, I don't have much knowledge on that, but as my friends and brother muftis from Ukraine told me, that is pretty different from what we have in Ukraine for many reasons. In Ukraine, most of the imam, most of the mufti used to study in Saudi Arabia or in Turkey. So they normally speak like Turkish and Arabic. And I don't know how it's in Indonesia, but I know that there is a lack of communication definitely between them. And as we learned, unfortunately, since the end of February this year, we've learned a lot of lessons. We've learned a lot of points. One of the points is, it is much easier to prevent the catastrophe than to deal with this when it happened. Much easier. And for this, we do need the communication. We do need networking. Put it in other words, like make it straight, yeah? If the Islamic world, if the Christian world, if the religious people of the world, like united and really like have the full understanding of the processes, geopolitical processes, and the various relations between the countries, I think we can prevent a lot of wars in this world. Just prevent, to make it never happen in all regions of the world, not just in my country. That's one. Second, I think, well, Ukraine is, just to share some facts about my country. Ukraine has a history of Islam of 800 years, if I'm not mistaken. And it gave the world quite a few prominent Islamic figures, personalities, like, I don't know, Muhammad Assad, like Naman Chalabi-Jihan, which I shared with you already, who, by the way, was one of the, I think he was the first religious leader in Islam that introduced women into the politics, into the parliament of Crimean Tatars at that time, Majlis Crimean Tatar. So we have quite a history on that. And I think in terms of bilaterality, well, I'm talking about networking, the global networking, right? First between the same confessions, then between the religions. But first, I think in this case, we have to build up the links and bridges between Indonesian Muslim community and Ukrainian Muslim community. We try to do something, and I think that that time I had maybe wrong assumptions. So I do hope that we will establish some communication, not on the group level, but on the tete-a-tete level, maybe, with our Muslim leaders in Ukraine and between the Muslim leaders of Indonesia. It will help both sides to understand, because now I communicate a lot with my muftis. One of them, like a former mufti, he decided he will go to the front line and fight. So now they elected another mufti. And I communicate with them all the time. And I could feel that they see there is not much understanding of what is really going on. Not much understanding, not only in Indonesia, but in many other Muslim countries. And this we could see from the direct reaction to what's going on, really. And the last one, maybe I just, to summarize it, I very much appreciate Imam Besar's and Imam Bashar's notion about humanity. I think that, well, we all share this view. I don't have any doubts on that. However, humanity must not be just a declaration. It's very important that humanity will be practically fulfilled, practically shaped up into something concrete. And this is also about networking. This is also about the communication, cooperation, and understanding, which is the crucial for making humanity practical, concrete, and efficient. Thank you very much. Religious diplomacy, it's great term, and I will highly appreciate if Bapa, Imam, perhaps if you feel appropriate, may contact me at some point, and from my side, I will do my best to build up these bridges. We want to build bridges with this great community of Indonesia and other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Excellency Dr. Fazli Hamanian. Yes, deep from our heart, from House of Peace, Great Mosque Istiqlal, we send our deep greetings to all people of Ukraine. Also, now we move to the next, maybe from the women's side. We have here representative of Embassy of Germany, Mrs. Laura Angel. Please come forward to give your speech. Thank you. Give applause to Mrs. Laura Angel. Thank you.
I don't know, can I stand here or?
Okay. Yep.
Terima kasih banyak ya untuk menunggu tangan di sini. Ini pertama kali. It's my first time that I'm here. I just arrived in Indonesia as well, so thank you very much. And thank you all already for your kind insights. You know that Germany is a secular state, and I think like New Zealand, predominantly Christian, but with a large and growing Muslim community that consists of a lot of immigrants that came in the 60s from Turkey. But now we also have a lot of refugees of war that are coming to Germany, and it's a huge task for us, I think, to integrate also, you know, people of different faith, of different culture, as you were mentioning it. And I'm a cultural anthropologist by training, actually. So I think this connection between religion and culture is very strong and very important, and we cannot really, you know, take these two apart, because religion influences culture, and eventually culture then influences our political decisions. So, you know, this discourse between politics and religion, I think it's very important. And I think it's because I'm from the women's side, maybe the first women speaker today, I also want to make this point that was also raised by our colleague from Romania, how important the role of religion also is for the rights of women. And I think this is a big responsibility that is like for Christianity as well, but also for Islam, to strengthen women as part of society, but also as their important role in bringing peace to this world, because I think conflicts are solved easier if women are part of the solution, and if they are really brought to the table, and if they are really seen as actors also, because often they are the ones who have to suffer the most in conflicts. And I think there also is a big role for me, for Islam also, to see where we can involve women more. This week, actually, Germany is supporting the second Women's Ulama Conference that is happening here in West Java. And I think this is also like a very good opportunity, you know, to think about how can women also become part of the new paradigm, maybe also in Islam. How can, you know, they also make decisions, or, you know, be just part of the message that is being sent and be part of the community. So I think it's very good to have this exchange and think about religion as builders of peace instead of, you know, drivers of war and conflict, and see how we can, you know, manage this connection between the political decision-making, but also the religious ideas in the communities. So thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you, Ms. Laura Angel. I think our Grand Imam will respond to the women issue, how is best practice in Mosque of Istiqlal. He will address not just in managing the worship, but also to our women ulama program that's called the first in the world. Our Grand Imam will explain it, I think. The next, we welcome, we please Miss Sophie van Hart, Second Secretary for Political Affairs, Embassy of Netherlands. Time is yours.
Thank you so much. So first of all, let me express my appreciation for this invitation. I'm very honored to be here. My first time in this mosque. I've only arrived in Jakarta 3.5 months ago, so very new. And being from the Netherlands, I think we can learn a lot from what has been discussed here today. So thank you very much for all the very interesting insights. I don't think we are necessarily the best example of how integration happens. We've had a lot of troubles in the Netherlands with that as well. And I think what we're doing right here is very important. I think listening to each other and being able to exchange is key to improve tolerance, understanding, because I think a lot of the well, too big to call it conflicts, but it's based on misunderstandings and not being able to speak to each other. And therefore, I'm really glad that that is what we're doing exactly here today. And I would like to say again, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. From Embassy of Netherlands, Ms. Sophie van Hart. For the share. Now we're going to the next, from Embassy of the United Kingdoms, we have Mr. Nick Faulkner, Second Secretary Political Affairs.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for having me here today. Imam Basar, Imam Bashar. Fascinating to hear about your road from Damascus. And what you've been up to in Baltimore and Washington. Really interested to hear that. I just want to start by offering also my condolences for the victims of the tragic earthquake this week. You know, our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the victims. I have young children myself. I can't begin to comprehend what they're going through right now. Also, apologies from my ambassador who wanted to be here today, Grand Imam, but couldn't be, unfortunately. I know that you met him recently, and he's looking forward to meeting you again very soon. Also, our gratitude for your recent hosting of the Parliament Speaker of United Kingdom, Sir Lindsay Hoyle. He really enjoyed visiting here and visiting the tunnel. It was his highlight of his trip to Jakarta. And I know that he's been sharing his experience in the Parliament this week, along with the Prime Minister's special envoy for freedom of religion or belief, Fiona Bruce, who plays a huge role working with international organizations and institutions to protect the persecuted people around the world. And she's been hosting an interfaith dialogue this week, debates and meetings at Parliament as part of a celebration of Interfaith Week. Nothing more to add from me today. Just thank you for hosting us today. I really appreciate it. I look forward to a lot more cooperation between the UK and Indonesia on this subject. Thank you so much.
Thank you. From Embassy of Netherlands. Now we please our Grand Imam maybe to give a feedback or response to what shared from the ambassadors and representative of embassy.
Yes, thank you very much, ambassadors. MashaAllah, we are very rich. I feel very rich. Many information very important for us, especially for me today. So I would like to learn more from your country. And of course, before I coming here, I open your country in website also. I learn more like interpret dialogue in your country, especially in UK also. I learn the experience how to manage the most in, for example, in Leeds, one city very important in Leeds also. I see that very interesting how to Muslim people in Leeds manage their most, and also very tolerant with a neighbor. One most also very important in Leeds. It has several worship halls also around that mosque. And thank you very much for also from European ambassadors. You mentioned politicization of religion, so this is, we have to be careful to, I myself, because, you know, especially this is the year of political affair today, this month, I think, as you see in newspaper, the issues, one of the issues in your nation today is how to manage our religious speech regarding the political practice in our country, in Indonesia today. So if you see the newspaper, because one of my hobbies every day, I write in the newspaper, 3 newspapers every day. And one of my concern also, how to give information for ulama, especially to be wisdom to mention the verse or hadith, you know, because for me, ulama must be independent. Like the most Indonesia must be independent. Masjid like Istiqlal, the big halls for all the kind of the political party. So everyone can go, can inside in the masjid and can sit in together like oasis in the metropolitan city. We need the spiritual space. The spiritual space in the metropolitan city very important to cooling the situation, cooling also the reason, and so on. And the second one, very nice your information also from ambassador from German. Yes, you mentioned also the harmony, and as Mrs. Rosita also mentioned, according to the data, we have. Let me explain a brief information for you regarding our priority program in Istiqlal. We have 42 consent program in this Istiqlal. One of them, how to empower our women society. So why do we open women ulama here? According to the new data, 2 years later, in Indonesia, that happened very interesting because there are a feminization of the hardliner. 56% hardliner in Indonesia are from women, especially in the media. We have a special research. You know, I'm also a rector for Institute for Quranic Studies, and also we have a new Nasruddin Umar office, my concentration also, we have a research center, not for political party, but sociology and religious activity. We have very important data. And we find also the hardliner in the last 2 years later not come from the men, but dominated by women. I try to understand why. And in Indonesian culture, yes, most of the women stay, especially wives, stay in the house, most of them. And there is no activity without social media. And they use social media to campaign hardliner ideology, especially in 2 years later. So we try to resolve this problem and working together with main institution, government institution. And we are very happy because this year, under coordinated by BMPT, counter-terrorist attacks institutions, we working together to protect and working together also with Minister of Information, Menteri Publikasi, how to protect several websites, hardliner websites. We have to close. I recommend it to them. We have to close more than 200 Islamic hardliner in Indonesian language in the internet. So this is very effective. But they can open also. They can build another website. But we can protect. We built also a special system to protect them. So Istiqlal Mosque not only for making serving people to pray, but in Istiqlal we have 42 program, include empower for women people. We have also IGF, Istiqlal Global Fund, how to empower our women, poor women. Please come to Istiqlal. We can learn to them. We can learn to you, to several pelatihan. Yeah, several training to empower our women, include terrorist family. So this is very interesting also, because we close also to the family of terrorists. We give them several budget, and we empower them. And when they finish that in the jail, Papanjara, yeah. When finished that in the prison, and they come back to their family, and his family, he can find a salary every month. So because of we collaborate also with several richest people in Indonesia, we join together to working together for the family of terrorists. So this is very important point, because why, as before 3 years later, after finish in prison, they back to be the last habit as a terrorist, as a hardliner. Why? Because they need the money. But in the opposite one, there is no company want to accept them to work. And we have a special program also to socialization of post people present, especially terrorists after finish in prisons. And several of them, we invite working together in the mosque after, after follow our program. We have a 2-week program for them, like rebrainwashing. Most of them follow our program, and we use them to go in many universities to explain what is the real experience and before and after finish and yes, after follow our program. Yes.
Okay.
And former terrorists come to be the moderate Muslim speaker today. So I think this is very difficult to find in another country. Yes. According to the data, 41% terrorists after present back to their society. Although several people also still very fear with them, but me together with the police institution also help them to make socialization in the society. Alhamdulillah. This is very effective method also how to protect the terrorist individual.
Okay.
The last one I would like to comment to you. We have also special program in Indonesia, especially in PTIQ Institute for Quran Studies, retranslation of the Quran. So this is very important issue today because before 5 years later, we use the old translation. When I was as Vice Minister of Religious Affairs, we try to retranslation and also reinterpretation of the Quran in the moderate perspective. So this is also very, very effective. And whoever want to translate the Quran must be by license from the government. Not everybody can translate the Quran according to our regulation in Indonesia today. In another country, everybody can translate the Quran. But in Indonesia, not all of the Muslim scholars can translate Quran, can publish Quran in Indonesian versions. Must be under coordinated by one institution, together with me, together with us in also PTIQ. And we have also Indonesian translation also translates to the English version today also. Because according to several Muslim scholars, Indonesian translation more enlightened than another English version in Europe, in the United States. But I don't know, not for me, but according to the several scholars. So we are still, for me, translation of the Quran. We need the newer every day, ongoing process. Yes, every culture, Indonesian, we have culture right to interpret the Quran. Yes, America, yes, of course, has the culture right to interpret Quran in American perspective. In Morocco also. But according to the hardliner in Indonesia, we have to use the only one version. Yeah. don't use the government translation. So this is the promotion of the hardliner people in Indonesia. But until today, we are very happy because small people like this, we cannot, there is no voice until today. As you feel, you know, Indonesian today better than before. Alhamdulillah. I think one point very important we can do, collaborative with another mosque. You can imagine, we have 800,000 mosques in Indonesia, not include musalla. Musalla smaller than the mosque. We have also smaller than the musalla, surau. I think this is only Indonesia, like Mr. Imam. In United States, only one mosque. There is no difference between mosque and musalla, and I know also United States, there is no surau. In Indonesia, we have 4 great mosques. 5 include Istiqlal. The only one state mosque is Istiqlal. And the second one, Masjid Raya. Each province, we have only one Masjid Raya, Masjid, the public mosque. And the third one, Musalla. Musalla, smaller than Masjid. And we have also surah smaller than Musalla. But all of them used to pray for Muslim people. And everybody can access each mosque. We Indonesia, Muslim Indonesia, may be different with another country. Sunni, as majority Muslim people in Indonesia, and very few people also from Shia. But Shia and Sunni also can use masjid together. Only few people from, I don't know from where, that Muslim, only they build mosque only for them, but very few people. So, inshallah, in the future, we invite you, Ambassador, maybe periodically, I would like to invite you to give us your experience, how to discuss regarding the problem of religious activity in our country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yep. Thank you for Grand Imam. Maybe you wanna, we will end with the closing statement from Grand Imam Basar Arafat.
Okay.
1 or 2 minutes.
I know that we are
Right.
running out of time.
Right.
It's going to be extremely short.
Right.
I just wanted to, again, say thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And the reason I was talking about the religious diplomacy is really because we are living in the history of Islam, the first time in our history since the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, 1400 years ago, that we are living a new era of immigration and refugees in such numbers. We have never had that in the Muslim history. And especially now, you will see hundreds of thousands are migrating to Europe. As somebody from Syria who migrated to the US 32 years ago, there has been also from the last century a lot of Syrians during the Ottoman time. Also they migrated. So, but these waves of refugees and with immigrants changing the face of Europe, changing the face of the United States, changing the face of the whole world. And that's why training imams, training clergy to understand the concept of this new era is very important. Also for Muslims, to live in a majority Muslim country like Indonesia is one thing, and to live as a minority somewhere else is also another thing, and we need to understand both theology, living as a majority and living as a minority, because some people in their minds, they are understanding only how to live as a majority, not living as a minority. But this is for the next discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grand Imam. We big applause to our 2 great Imam. Now, before we end, I end these sessions, I would like to introduce our management of Great Mosque of Istiqlal. Actually, in Istiqlal have 4 main divisions: education and training, social and empowering communities, and facilities and maintenance, and also worship. And then we have 2 directory. The first is global Istiqlal Fund, Global Istiqlal Fund, and then also the Directory of Ulama Program. That consists of men and Ulama Program. That's for master's and doctoral degree. And then Al-Azhar will be our another destination, inshallah, and other country, of course. Now I pleased to introduce the first is General. You may stand up, Pak Asep. This is the big applause to our head of social divisions, and then the director of Global Istiqlal Fund. This is manager of philanthropy to Mosque of Istiqlal, and then also representative from secretary of the Mosque of Istiqlal. Thank you so much. Last but not least from me, the moderator Rosita Tandos from Divisions of Social Affairs. Thank you so much for the Honorable Excellency Ambassador and all representative of embassy, and also to Imam Basar Arafat and our Grand Imam for our event today. Hopefully with the topic of strengthening global peace and partnerships, we will work more for our collaboration, partnership and exchange program for the future, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now I give back to MC for the next is penyerahan plakat. So.
Thank you. And the next our agenda is giving of souvenir from Grand Imam Besar Masjid Istiqlal, Profesor Dr. K. Haji Nasaruddin Umar MA, to all ambassadors.
Okay. The first may be given to Imam Basar Arafat from US America. Thank you so much for participating in our event today. Okay. The next to Honorable Excellency from Ambassador or Embassy of European Union, just left. Sorry for that. Have a make an appointment. The next one is from Ambassador for Embassy of Egypt. Please welcome, Sir Excellency. Dibuka ini cepetan. Okay, we please next our Ambassador of Pakistan to come. Yeah. Okay. We hope all ambassadors still stay. We will have a photo together after this giving the souvenir. The next one is Mr. Ambassador of New Zealand. Please come. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Now for Ambassador of Slovakia. Okay, next for Embassy of Ukraine. Embassy of Ukraine to come for. Thank you. Now to Mrs. Laura Angel from Embassy of Germany. Oh, yeah. Oh, Romania. Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Now for the Ambassador of Embassy of Romania, please come forward. Thank you so much, sir, to join us today. Thank you. Next, Ms. Sophie van Hart from Embassy of Netherlands. Thank you. Yep. Now, last but not least, from the Embassy of the United Kingdom, Mr. Nick Faulkner. Please. ambassador and representative. Okay. 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 Now we welcome all the ambassador and embassy representative to take picture together with Grand Imam and Imam Basar Arafat to take joint picture. And then all the first ambassadors and embassies with the Grand Imam. Some of them already left for another appointment. Another also from the embassies, please, to join the photo sessions. Okay, 1, 2, smile. Okay, I want to join also, please hold it.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention and your presence this event, and we hope we can meet again for the next time in the another event. And thank you for all. Oh yeah. And so maybe you will become to instead to it again